Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing a review for DC Rebirth Holiday Special Issue 1. And before I start talking about this issue, just want to give you guys a couple updates. Of course I have Comic Uno, episode 174 I believe we're up to, and that show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. So if you want to go check out the exclusive comics for that show, that is in the description below, and the episode will be annotated by Friday. But let's start talking about DC Rebirth Holiday Special Issue 1, which is kind of a pricey book. It's $9.99. They do have that nice shiny cover, the glossy cover, and a nice bind over there, and you can tell it's a lot of stories. So let's see if this story is worth it. So I guess I'll talk story by story a bit here, just to kind of go in depth. But our first story, well, the stories that combined all of them are Harley Quinn, actually written by Paul Dini, so that was a lot of fun. And you see the superheroes kind of hanging out, just having a good time, even some of the supervillains. And we go into our first story, which is between Batman and Superman, which honestly was probably my favorite story out of all the stories told here, because it's really a good story for Damian, where Damian wants this video game system, John wants this video game system, and in the end, Clark couldn't get it for John, just because he was late, he's saving the world all the time, but he really wanted to get it for his son. And then you find out that Damian gets it for John, where Clark is very happy, saying, you know, what's better than John getting this system is having a friend like Damian, which makes me even more excited for Super Sons to come out. And the artwork was so well done. Really liked the art for that issue 2, or that story. Then moving on to the next story, so that was one of the longer ones. We also have another Superman story. It's a little bit of a shorter one, but it's Crypto getting his collar for Christmas, and that was another cute one. I think the main heroes, or you know, the popular heroes of the DC universe got some good stories in here. But then we go into Batman's story with Detective Chimp, which I couldn't get into as much, but if you're like a Dark Knight Returns fan, I think you'll like the art style, and if you kind of like that silly story, a silly type story with the Detective Chimp, you might like it, but I couldn't get into that story as much, even though I do like the interesting art style. It's kind of cartoony, but also tries to represent, again, that Dark Knight Returns style artwork. Then moving on to the next story, which is, that was kind of a longer one, the detective one. One I probably least liked, which was the Constantine and Wonder Woman story. I'm not a big fan of Constantine, and their team up didn't really make sense to me in this issue, so that one I didn't like as much. The artwork was okay. The coloring is not for me. I know that's kind of the style of coloring you usually get with Constantine, but the oranges kind of collided for me a bit, so wasn't a big fan of that story, but that was also one of the longer stories in this book. And then a really touching story was between Flash and the Rogues, where the Rogues kind of take a little break. That way Flash can get this toy for a foster child. And really love the art style. And the coloring works so well in this book. And definitely my favorite part being Captain Cold saying, hey man, you know, we'll stop, you know, that's okay. Because that's very Captain Cold of him to do on the Christmas holidays. He's a bad guy, but he's not that bad of a guy. Then we have a very short story with the new Superman. I haven't been reading New Superman, so I wasn't interested in that one as much, but like I said, it was very short. It was 1 page, so it wasn't even 2-page story. It was a very short one. Another one I really liked, though, was the Batwoman story. Another one of my favorites from this was Batwoman missing her father, because they used to celebrate Hanukkah together, and then they don't have the chance after the stuff going on in Detective Comics. It was also interesting to see her look from, like, before the Detective Comics book she had. So I think it was one of the events that she had this. I think it was one of the countdown events that she had this kind of look to her. So I thought that was cool that they kind of went back to that and had a throwback. The characters they introduced, though, I wasn't as interested in. There's this, like, girl named Kit, where I'm like, I don't remember her from anything. It made it seem like she was a supporting character for a very long time, but she seems like a new character, or maybe I just haven't read her, and it's just kind of weird that they stuck these new characters into the story, unless it's build up for the upcoming Batwoman book. But I did like that story. And then the Titan story wasn't bad. What I liked about it, though, was that it connected to the Batgirl and Nightwing story, where they're both late to their own date to see the fireworks. So I think I liked that back half more than the actual Titan story. But it was nice that it was more of a Titan story than it is a Wally story like we've been getting with the regular Titans book. And I think this is the last story coming up, is the Green Lantern story, which I also really enjoyed. I liked the Green Lanterns book, where we get to see, of course, the differing personality of Boz and Jessica. And it once again kind of goes back to their core of their characters, how they fight a battle. But it's also celebrating one of, I forgot what, the Kings of something holiday. It's a couple of days after New Year's, and I thought that was really cool, bringing Jessica's culture into the book. So, overall, I do think it's worth picking up. The price tag does bring this book down a little bit for me, and there are some stories here and there that I didn't enjoy as much, but I actually thought this was a really good scope of DC Rebirth. If you're enjoying the event or enjoying the run and in line in general, I think you'll find some stories you really enjoy here. So I think it's worth picking up if you want to get into the holiday spirit. I thought DC did a pretty good job at creating some good short stories here. So DC Rebirth Holiday Special for me gets 3.5 stars. It's definitely a higher rating than I usually give for these short story books, because they are hard to rate. I always say that because you might really like one story but not like another story. But overall, there were some really enjoyable stories in this one. So I gave it 3.5 stars. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, in the description below, there are links for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.